Gloria Jenkins dragged her suitcase up the wet concrete steps, her knees still aching from the 8-hour flight from Florida to Seattle. Sarah had begged her to come for Thanksgiving, swearing the 6-year-old twins missed their grandmother terribly. The front door swung open before Gloria could even press the bell. Instead of a warm hug or the smell of roasted turkey, Gloria was greeted by the sight of 2 oversized designer suitcases. Sarah stood in the foyer wearing a sleek travel trench coat, a matcha latte in one hand. Beside her, David checked his expensive watch. "Perfect. You're right on time." Sarah smiled brightly, grabbing the handle of her suitcase. Gloria paused on the welcome mat. "I thought dinner wasn't until tomorrow." "Oh, we aren't hosting this year, Mom." Sarah waved her hand dismissively toward the living room where Leo and Maya were playing with an iPad on the rug. "David and I desperately need a reset. We booked a couple's retreat in the mountains. We'll be back Sunday evening." Gloria looked from her daughter to her son-in-law. "You invited me here to babysit." David cleared his throat, suddenly finding his shoes very interesting. "We just figured you'd love some quality time with the kids, Gloria. You always say you miss them." "And we left a schedule," Sarah added smoothly, stepping out onto the porch and gesturing toward the kitchen. "Everything is on the counter. Don't deviate from their diet, please. No gluten, no refined sugars." Gloria didn't raise her voice. She didn't drop her bags in shock. She just stared at the 2 adults who had manipulated an exhausted 68-year-old woman into a free childcare service. "Have a safe drive." Gloria finally replied, her tone perfectly even. Sarah looked momentarily relieved. "Thanks, Mom. You're a lifesaver." David practically sprinted to their luxury SUV. Within seconds, the taillights disappeared down the rainy street. Gloria stepped inside, closing the door firmly behind her. The house was a disaster zone. Laundry piled high on the armchair dishes, stacked precariously in the sink. She walked into the kitchen and found the schedule Sarah mentioned. It wasn't just a schedule. It was a manual. Gloria placed her reading glasses on the bridge of her nose and flipped open the thick blue binder sitting on the marble island. The first page read, "Weekly Household Duties for Mom." Her eyebrows rose. She turned the pages slowly. It detailed exactly what time to wake the twins, the specific organic meals to cook from scratch, and the laundry schedule. Wash the whites on Friday. Fold David's gym clothes, vacuum the downstairs rugs daily, and wipe down the baseboards if she had free time. A sticky note on the final page caught her eye. "Mom, since you aren't paying for a hotel, it's only fair you help out around the house while we're gone. Love you." Gloria closed the binder. She wasn't a guest. She wasn't family. She was unpaid staff. She poured herself a glass of tap water, leaning against the counter. Anger flared briefly in her chest, but she pushed it down. Getting angry wouldn't solve anything. Action would. Leo and Maya trotted into the kitchen, their faces lighting up. "Grandma?" Maya threw her arms around Gloria's waist. Gloria smiled, genuinely stroking the little girl's hair. "Hello, sweetie. Are you 2 hungry?" "Mommy said you're making us kale chips," Leo grumbled, wrinkling his nose. "How about some macaroni and cheese instead?" Gloria winked. The twins cheered and ran back to the living room. As Gloria reached for a pot in the cabinet, her phone chimed. It was an automated email alert from her bank. She dried her hands and tapped the screen. Her eyes narrowed. A charge for $3,200 had just been processed at the Serenity Peak Wellness Spa. 3 years ago, when David was laid off, Gloria had opened a joint credit card and given Sarah a copy. It was strictly for emergencies, medical bills, groceries, if things got tight, urgent car repairs. Sarah had promised to only use it if absolutely necessary. Gloria logged into her banking app. The balance was completely maxed out. Flights, expensive dinners over the past few months, and now a luxury retreat. They hadn't just tricked her into babysitting. They had forced her to finance their getaway. Gloria locked her phone and slipped it into her pocket. She looked out the kitchen window at the dreary Seattle rain. She had made a promise to herself after her husband died. She would never let anyone take advantage of her again. Gloria finished cooking the macaroni and cheese, serving the twins at the dining table with a side of apple slices. She watched them eat, her heart softening. They were innocent in all of this. They deserved a grandmother's love, not the fallout of their parents' entitlement. Once the kids were settled with a puzzle, Gloria retrieved her iPad from her carry-on bag. She sat on the velvet sofa and opened her banking portal. She didn't hesitate. She transferred the remaining balance from her main checking account to a secure private savings account Sarah knew nothing about. Then she selected the emergency credit card. With 2 taps, she locked the card. She selected the option for unauthorized use and completely canceled the account. The bank's automated system confirmed the action. The plastic card sitting in Sarah's designer wallet was now useless. Next, Gloria opened the family's shared desktop computer in the corner of the room to find the Wi-Fi password. The web browser was left open. A messaging app glowed brightly on the screen. Gloria wasn't one to snoop, but her own name caught her attention in a chat between Sarah and her best friend. "Sarah, Mom just landed. We're heading out now." Friend. She didn't flip out Sarah, nah, she never complains. "Once we get her used to this, we're going to ask her to move into the basement permanently. Free nanny for the next 10 years. It'll save us $2,000 a month." Friend, genius. "What about her house in Florida, the Sarah? We'll convince her to sell it and give us the cash to build an extension. She's lonely anyway." Gloria read the messages 3 times to ensure she wasn't misunderstanding. The breath left her lungs. This wasn't just a ruined Thanksgiving. This was a calculated blueprint to strip away her independence, her finances, and her freedom. She pulled out her phone and snapped a clear photo of the screen. No tears fell. The disappointment was too profound for crying. Instead, a cold, sharp clarity washed over her. She knew exactly what needed to be done next. She scrolled through her contacts and pressed call. The phone rang 3 times before a cheerful voice answered. "Gloria. Are you in town? Sarah mentioned you were flying in for the holiday." "Hello, Brenda." Gloria replied smoothly. Brenda was David's mother, a no-nonsense retired nurse who lived just 40 minutes away in the suburbs. Unlike David, Brenda possessed a strong moral compass. "I'm in town," Gloria continued. "I arrived about an hour ago. Unfortunately, Sarah and David left the moment I walked through the door. They're at a spa for the weekend." Silence stretched over the line. They left, but who is watching Leo and Maya? "I am, currently, but I won't be staying." Gloria kept her voice steady, stripping away any emotion. "I was invited here under the guise of a family Thanksgiving. Instead, I was handed a chore binder and left alone. I'm booking a flight to my son Michael's house in Denver tonight." "I cannot believe him," Brenda practically growled. "David knows better than this." "I'm calling because I don't want to leave the children unattended," Gloria explained. "Could you come over and stay with them until Sarah and David return?" "Give me 30 minutes. I am so sorry, Gloria. I will handle this." "Thank you, Brenda. Drive safely." Gloria ended the call. She didn't feel guilty. For years, she had bent over backward to accommodate Sarah, hoping her daughter would eventually appreciate the sacrifices. But appreciation didn't grow from endless giving. Entitlement did. She walked back to the kitchen, took the thick blue chore binder, and dropped it straight into the trash can under the sink. The heavy thud echoed satisfyingly in the quiet room. Gloria went to the hallway and retrieved her suitcase. She hadn't even unpacked. She zipped her coat, double-checked her flight details on her phone, and booked a premium economy seat to Denver, departing in 3 hours. She was going to spend Thanksgiving where she was actually wanted. Now, all she had to do was wait for Brenda to arrive and the reality check to begin. Exactly 35 minutes later, headlights swept across the living room window. Gloria opened the door before Brenda could knock. The other grandmother marched inside, shaking off her wet umbrella, her expression thunderous. "Where are they?" Brenda asked, pulling off her gloves. "Playing in their room." Gloria smiled faintly. "They've already eaten." Brenda looked around the messy house, noting the laundry and the dishes. "Sarah actually left the house looking like this for you." Gloria pointed toward the trash can. "There was a schedule. It included scrubbing baseboards and folding David's gym clothes." "But that's not why I'm leaving." Gloria pulled out her phone and opened the photograph she had taken of the computer screen. She handed it to Brenda without a word. Brenda put on her reading glasses. As her eyes scanned the messages, her face turned a deep shade of red. "Sell your house. Move into the basement as a free nanny," Brenda whispered in disbelief. She handed the phone back, looking utterly mortified. "Gloria, I raised my son to treat people with respect. I am appalled." "You didn't write the messages, Brenda. You have nothing to apologize for." Gloria picked up the handle of her suitcase. "They also charged their spa retreat to my emergency medical credit card. I've canceled it." Brenda's eyes widened, a slow, grim smile spreading across her face. "You canceled the card?" "I did. They are checking in right about now." Brenda chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. "Well, they are about to learn a very hard lesson about adulthood. Don't worry about the kids, Gloria. I've got them. You go have a wonderful Thanksgiving with Michael." "Thank you." Gloria hugged her. It was a brief, genuine moment of solidarity between two women who refused to tolerate disrespect. Gloria stepped out onto the porch and requested a rideshare to the airport. The rain had stopped, leaving the evening air crisp and clean. She took a deep breath, feeling a massive weight lift from her shoulders. She wasn't just leaving a messy house. She was leaving behind years of being treated like an afterthought. The ride to the airport was peaceful. Gloria watched the city lights blur past the window, listening to the soft jazz playing on the driver's radio. She felt an unfamiliar sensation settling over her complete control. For decades, her life had revolved around her children's needs. When her husband passed, that instinct only intensified. She had poured her energy, her savings, and her time into making sure Sarah and Michael never felt the gap left by their father. But looking at the dark highway, she realized you couldn't buy respect. Her phone vibrated in her purse. She ignored it. It vibrated again. And again. Gloria pulled it out. 5 text messages lined up on her screen, all from Sarah. "Mom, did you do something to the card? It's declining. The front desk is embarrassing us. Call the bank and approve it." "Mom, answer the phone. David is freaking out. They won't give us the keys to the villa." "Hello." Gloria read them with mild amusement. She didn't reply. She let them stew. She paid the driver, tipped him generously, and wheeled her bag into the bright, bustling terminal. The holiday crowds were thick, but Gloria moved with purpose. She checked her bag, went through security, and found a quiet seat near her gate. She bought a cup of herbal tea and a blueberry muffin, sitting comfortably as she watched airplanes taxi on the runway. Her phone began to ring. The caller ID flashed David's face. She let it go to voicemail. 2 minutes later, Sarah called. Gloria took a slow sip of her tea, savoring the warmth. On the 4th ring, she swiped the screen and answered. "Hello, Sarah. I'm McCready." Sarah's voice was frantic, echoing slightly as if she were pacing in a large room. "What is going on with your card?" "The hotel is trying to charge $3,200 for the weekend, and it keeps declining. We've been standing in the lobby for 20 minutes. Fix it." Gloria set her tea down. "I can't fix it, Sarah. The account is permanently closed." Dead silence hung on the line. Then Sarah laughed nervously. "What, Mom, stop joking. We need to check in. Just call the bank and unlock it." I'm not joking, Gloria replied evenly. That card was for emergencies. A luxury mountain spa is not an emergency. We told you we needed a reset. Sarah's voice rose in pitch. We're exhausted. You can't just cut us off in the middle of nowhere. Put the card back on right now. We'll pay you back eventually. No. No. What do you mean, no? David's voice suddenly overlapped in the background. Sarah had put her on speakerphone. Gloria, this is ridiculous. We drove 3 hours to get up here. Gloria leaned back in her airport chair. I suggest you drive 3 hours back down, David. I saw the messages on the computer. I know about the basement. I know about the plan to sell my house. I also found the chore binder you left for me in the kitchen. The line went frighteningly quiet. Mom! Sarah stammered, the entitlement instantly vanishing, replaced by panic. I was just venting. It was a joke. It wasn't a joke, Sarah. It was a business plan. Gloria kept her tone devoid of anger. You invited me on an 8-hour flight to use me as unpaid staff while you vacationed on my dime. That stops today. I am done funding your lifestyle. You can't do this to us, Sarah yelled, abandoning all pretense of guilt. Who is watching my kids right now? Did you leave them alone? I would never do that, Gloria said calmly. David's mother is there. My mother, David sounded horrified. Yes. She saw your messages too. She wasn't impressed. Gloria smiled softly, though they couldn't see it. I'm boarding my flight to Denver now. Do not call me again this weekend. Happy Thanksgiving. She hung up, blocking both of their numbers immediately. She didn't need to hear their excuses. The boundary was set thick and impenetrable. The boarding announcement echoed through the terminal. Gloria picked up her carry-on, feeling lighter than she had in years. The flight to Denver was smooth. Gloria slept for a solid 2 hours, waking up refreshed just as the plane began its descent. When she walked out of the arrival gates, she didn't have to look hard. Mom! Michael, her 30-year-old son, waved enthusiastically over the crowd. He ran forward and wrapped her in a tight, genuine hug. I'm so glad you called. It's so good to see you. It's good to see you too, Michael. Gloria patted his back, feeling a sudden wave of genuine emotion. Michael took her bag. Emma is making the guest room ready right now, and the kids made you a welcome banner. It took a lot of glitter, so prepare yourself. Gloria laughed out loud. It was a joyful, unburdened sound. During the drive to his house, Gloria gave Michael a brief summary of what had happened in Seattle. She didn't exaggerate or play the victim. She just stated the facts. The chore binder, the stolen credit card, the secret chat. Michael tightened his grip on the steering wheel. I knew Sarah was getting entitled, but this is insane. Are you okay? I'm more than okay. Gloria nodded, watching the snowy Colorado landscape pass by. I should have stopped paying for things years ago. I thought I was helping, but I was just teaching them that my time and money had no value. You're not to blame for her choices, Mom, Michael said firmly. You set a boundary. Good for you. When they arrived at Michael's home, his wife Emma was waiting on the porch. She gave Gloria a warm hug, offering her a mug of hot cider. The house smelled of cinnamon and roasting turkey. There was no chore list waiting on the counter. There were only her 2 grandsons showing off the messy, glittery sign that read, "We love Grandma." That evening, they cooked together. They laughed, drank wine, and played board games until midnight. Gloria checked her iPad once before bed. An email from Sarah sat in her inbox, full of excuses and demands. Gloria swiped left and deleted it without opening it. She turned off the lamp, surrounded by a family that actually wanted her there. Over the next few months, Gloria's life shifted dramatically. She returned to her sunny home in Florida. She joined a water aerobics class. She traveled to Italy with 2 friends from her book club, using the money she had saved by no longer paying Sarah's emergency bills. Sarah and David, meanwhile, faced a harsh reality. Brenda had refused to enable them either. Without Gloria's financial cushion, they had to downgrade their lifestyle. They couldn't afford their luxury SUV anymore and had to trade it in. Sarah had to stop treating her mother's wallet as her personal ATM. They tried reaching out. At first, the emails were angry. Then, when the silence stretched on, they turned pleading. Gloria read them occasionally, but rarely replied. She wasn't punishing them. She was protecting her peace. She realized that trying to fix a relationship with someone who only valued you for what you could provide was a losing battle. One Tuesday afternoon in early April, Gloria was on her porch potting orchids when a familiar rental car pulled into the driveway. Sarah stepped out. She looked tired. Her designer clothes were replaced by plain jeans and a sweater. Gloria didn't panic. She didn't rush inside. She wiped her hands on a towel and waited. Sarah walked up the driveway, stopping a few feet from the porch steps. She looked at the ground, then up at her mother. "Hi, Mom." "Hello, Sarah." Gloria's voice was calm, welcoming, but cautious. Sarah wrapped her arms around herself. "Can we talk?" "We can talk right here." Gloria gestured to the patio chairs. She didn't offer a drink. She didn't rush to make her comfortable. Sarah sat down heavily. "I owe you an apology. A real one, not just because the money is gone." She swallowed hard. "Brenda really let us have it. She made me see how terrible we were to you. I treated you like a servant. I was incredibly greedy, and I am so sorry." Gloria listened in silence. The apology sounded rehearsed, but there was a crack of genuine shame in Sarah's voice. "I appreciate you saying that," Gloria finally spoke. "But words are just words, Sarah. Your actions showed me exactly how you viewed me." "I want to fix it," Sarah pleaded, looking up. "The kids miss you." "I miss you." Gloria leaned forward, resting her hands in her lap. "I love you, Sarah. I love my grandchildren." But things will never go back to the way they were. The emergency card is never coming back. I am never moving into your basement. If I visit, I stay in a hotel and I do not babysit unless I offer. Sarah nodded quickly. "I understand. I really do. And," Gloria added, her tone firm, "I updated my will. Michael is the executor. My assets are tied up in a trust. My house will not be sold to fund your renovations." Sarah's face flushed red, but she didn't argue. She nodded again. "I don't expect anything anymore, Mom. I just want my mother back." "We'll start small," Gloria said, standing up. "A weekly phone call. No talk of money. We'll see how it goes." It wasn't a perfect, tearful reunion. Gloria knew trust took years to build and only seconds to destroy. But as she watched Sarah drive away, she felt something profound. For the first time in her life as a mother, she wasn't carrying the weight of her daughter's problems. She had drawn a line in the sand, and the world hadn't ended. In fact, it had only gotten brighter. Gloria went back to her orchids, humming softly. The Florida sun warmed her shoulders. Love without boundaries was just a recipe for resentment. But boundaries without anger, that was power. And Gloria Jenkins had never felt more powerful. She picked up her watering can, smiling as the water caught the sunlight. Her life was finally her own again.